a cordial welcome to everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm very pleased to see that at this event we have participants from all over the world. I've seen people from, let's say, Japan up to Argentina, across the world, which is a great pleasure. This is the launch event of our 19th World Wind Energy Conference, which we are planning to have in collaboration with Terry and several other organizations, all of which are here together with us and will speak at this launch event. Allow me to say that this is a very special, of course, occasion and opportunity, because we are now still in the middle of the pandemic situation, and after having had 18 World Wind Energy Conferences, with the first one starting in Berlin in 2002, then traveling around the world with the event, having one in New Delhi already 15 years ago. We had no World Wind Energy Conference in 2020, and now, of course, this conference in 2021 will have a special significance, not only, but also because of its bringing new momentum, and I think it's also at a kind of turning point of history where renewable energy and climate change are very, very important on the global agenda. Let me inform you, give you some technical information. This event is a public event. That means that not only the people who are joining us here are listening to us. The event is also broadcasted on the WWEA YouTube channel. We are recording the event so that the speeches will be later made available to you. So please, when you raise your voice, when you want to say something, be aware that there are many people, or might be many people, listening to what you say. Yes, so it's a great pleasure to welcome you once again, and then to do the formal welcome and opening. It's my pleasure to hand over to our president, Peter Rae, who is now joining us from Australia, actually the southern part of Australia, from Tasmania. Peter, the floor is yours.
Well, hello to all of those who are listening and watching this webinar, which is being conducted in relation to a forthcoming conference by the WWEA and Terry of India. WWEA is the first and leading wind energy association, which was formed in 2001. It has some 600 plus members, and these come from over 100 countries. It was formed by the world's national associations and research institutions, but for the benefit of all. We set out to unite the world of the wind energy, and I believe that this conference will be another step in achieving that objective. Each year, since we have held a major international conference covering different countries of the world and on every continent. This year in November, we shall be in New Delhi. This will be the second time in India. In 2006, the President of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam, opened the conference with this statement: "The crying need is for renewable energy. That alone can ensure a sustainable world." He called for a comprehensive renewable energy policy. We were honoured by his presence and motivated by his words. India has been closely associated with the WWEA. Our second president was from India, Dr. Anil Kane, and we have gained strength from the Indian involvement with WWEA. It has been a close one throughout the term of the existence of this association. Terry, our host, the Energy and Resources Institute, has been concentrating on developing solutions for a sustainable world. And most people who are familiar with conferences would have been familiar with one being held in New Delhi involving Terry. There have been many, and they're known worldwide for its role and achievements. India has a targeted need for 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. India stands well in the top 5 countries in the world of wind power and is growing strongly. We at WWEA are looking forward to the support of a wide cross-section of the renewables industry, including the REN Alliance, in a session, All the Renewables Working Together. In particular, this year, I believe that the single most important session will be in relation to backup for the intermittent and variable, but cheapest renewable energy coming from wind and sun. It will cover the world of renewables and the renewables world, but the usual content will be there, but some of the new developments to be discussed will include training for all aspects of the wind industry. And this is a particularly important one. There are several countries, including China, the Chinese Wind Energy Association, which are firmly behind this proposal for the development of a training facility in all aspects of the wind industry. And I believe that it's something which can be taken further at the conference in Delhi in November. Backup for wind and solar through pumped storage and the possibility that green hydrogen will provide the necessary resource are very topical issues. But as well as those two, there's a number of others which are attempting to compete. And it's interesting to look at the whole range of the provision of backup, including sand and various others which believe that they can supply that necessary on-demand energy to provide the necessary backup. Another one which intrigues me is a sign of the maturity which has now been reached in the wind industry is for markets for spare parts for wind turbines, and the wind industry is starting to develop. There's one of which I'm aware in Germany. There are probably others developing, and it is a sign of a maturity in the industry of wind energy. Another which I think is worth pointing out in particular, and that is offshore. There's considerable interest in this as becoming more and more practical as a solution for heavily inhabited countries with offshore territory, and others where the wind regime is considerably better offshore than onshore. As it develops, I'm sure it will reduce in cost and become more competitive. It is clearly a growth area, nowhere better identified than with the Dogger Bank project in the North Sea, which is a planned 3.6 gigawatts wind farm, and that's quite a large wind farm. Another area of interest, I believe, at this conference will be on the concentration on the design, development and management of grids, with a major percentage of renewables is another area for serious consideration. There are problems which can be overcome. Some of the countries are well down the track towards that, and others are still to tackle the problem. Some are part way through, but it's a problem which will be probably exacerbated, or at least take more consideration when we have regard to the fact that electric vehicles are going to become very much more the predominant method of domestic transport, and well, not only that, but I think with regard to the air and sea transport, there are changes taking place in relation to that. As all of that takes place, then the grid will require further amendment and further design, further development. These are all things which we can discuss in November. They're things which are happening in the world, and I wish I had time to talk a little further about some of the interesting and challenging things that we're going to be discussing in November. The impact of all of these is going to determine how well the renewable energy rollover will be able to take place, how smoothly it can take place, and it will be interesting to hear other speakers referring to what they see as coming from this World Wind Energy Conference to be held in November 24-26 in New Delhi, later this year. It promises to be a great event. I now ask our moderator, Stefan Gsänger, if he would introduce our next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter.